The human soldier in the story embodies an unyielding spirit, an essential quality that defines humanity when faced with overwhelming odds. His ability to continue fighting despite his wounds, pain, and the near impossible odds against him speaks volumes about the strength that lies within humanity. This resilience is not merely physical, it is mental, emotional, and spiritual. The soldier's actions go beyond his personal survival. They represent something larger, a collective will to endure and overcome that runs deep in human nature. Even when faced with enemies far superior in strength, number, and technology, the human spirit refuses to bow down. This is the core of the soldier's essence. When the shot rings out, it is not just a wound inflicted on his body, but a symbol of the challenges humanity faces in the universe. Yet instead of collapsing in defeat or succumbing to the injury, the soldier laughs. That laughter isn't just a reaction to pain, it is an expression of defiance against the inevitability that many would expect. It is a refusal to let circumstances dictate the outcome of the fight. Despite the gaping hole in his chest, the soldier's resolve is as solid as ever. There is something uniquely human about this behavior, a trait that transcends logic and reason, a trait rooted in the heart and soul of every human being. Humans are not defined by their ability to avoid adversity, but by their capacity to face it head on and keep moving forward, no matter the cost. This trait is deeply ingrained in humanity's history and culture. From the early struggles for survival to the fierce battles for freedom and independence, humans have always found ways to keep going, even when it seems like all hope is lost. The soldier's resilience mirrors these historical moments where individuals and entire societies fought against insurmountable odds, driven not by the certainty of success, but by an unshakable belief that giving up is never an option. It's in the very fabric of humanity to rise again, even when knocked down. This instinct is what pushes the soldier to take another step, to raise his weapon and fire even as his body is failing him. It's what drives him to keep laughing, to mock the very force that should have defeated him. Moreover, the spirit is not something that is born out of ignorance or naivety. The soldier is fully aware of the situation he is in. He knows the wound he suffered could easily end his life. He understands the strength of his enemies. Yet, despite all this, he refuses to let fear control him. Fear, which might paralyze most others, only fuels his determination. In this sense, the soldier represents the broader human experience. Fear is a constant companion for humanity, but it is never the master. The ability to act in spite of fear, to push forward even when every instinct screams to turn away, is what defines true courage. The soldier's defiance, his laughter, is an expression of this courage, one that transcends individual self-preservation and becomes an act of resistance against oppression, against hopelessness, and against any force that tries to strip humanity of its dignity. The unyielding spirit of the soldier also speaks to the power of hope. It is hope that keeps him moving, even when the road ahead is uncertain and filled with danger. Hope is not a passive feeling, it is an active force that propels one to fight on. The soldier's refusal to give in to pain, to death, and to the threat surrounding him is driven by the hope that even in the darkest moments, there is a chance, however slim, for victory. This hope is infectious. It spreads not only to the soldier, but also to those who witness his bravery. The moment the soldier continues to fight, even while mortally wounded, is the moment that the power of human resilience becomes clear. His actions inspire others to do the same, to rise from the ashes of despair and join in the fight. The soldiers around him see not just one man, but the embodiment of the human will to survive, to fight, and to endure. This is what makes the soldier so much more than just an individual. He becomes a symbol of the human condition, the very essence of humanity's ability to persist in the face of overwhelming adversity. The soldier's laughter, his continued defiance, shows that no matter how dire the circumstances, humans are capable of continuing the fight. The unyielding spirit is what defines humanity's greatest victories and its most enduring qualities. Even when all seems lost, humanity's refusal to be defeated remains one of its most powerful strengths. The soldier, standing tall and laughing in the face of death represents a truth that all humans carry within them. As long as there is breath, there is always the potential to keep going, to push forward, and to never surrender. The human soldier's defiance in the face of death is one of the most powerful and defining characteristics that set him apart from any other being on the battlefield. When he is shot, most would expect him to fall to the ground, either dead or incapacitated by the force of the blow. However, the soldier does not simply succumb to the injury. Instead, he laughs, a reaction that at first might seem absurd given the circumstances, but one that carries deep meaning. His laughter is not a sign of madness or delusion, but a deliberate and powerful expression of resistance. It is an act of defiance against the inevitability of death, an assertion that, despite the enemy's actions and the overwhelming odds, he will not be easily defeated. It is the kind of defiance that runs deep within humanity's nature, a trait that has been a part of human history for as long as any can remember. Death, for most, is an insurmountable boundary. It is the ultimate fear and the final act, an irreversible end that no one can avoid. And yet here is a human soldier who, with a fatal wound and his body failing him, laughs in the face of it. This laugh isn't a response to something humorous or lighthearted. It is a challenge. It is a declaration that no matter how much the enemy tries to crush him, he will not bow down. Death may be inevitable, but that doesn't mean the soldier will simply surrender to it. Instead of seeing the wound as a sign of his defeat, he views it as just another step in a much larger journey, one that humanity as a whole has always undertaken. The human capacity to laugh in the face of death is something unique. It represents the profound belief that even in the face of ultimate loss, there is still value in living with defiance, courage, and strength. The laughter becomes an emblem of this soldier's belief that death is not the end, but merely a part of the battle. Throughout history, human beings have always faced the specter of death with a mix of dread and defiance. In times of war, plague, and hardship, humans have laughed not because life is easy, but because laughter is a way of reclaiming some control over what is otherwise uncontrollable. It is an act of resistance against forces beyond human comprehension. The soldier's laughter serves to remind the enemy, and everyone watching, that death will not win. This reaction is also a challenge to the alien forces, who are more accustomed to beings that either flee or submit when faced with death. For them, the soldier's response is incomprehensible, an affront to the norms of how a creature should react to being mortally wounded. The soldier's laughter breaks the mold, offering a glimpse into the infinite resilience of human spirit. This defiance is not just a display of individual strength, but a representation of the collective human experience. Humanity has faced many challenges throughout its history, from natural disasters to wars and conflicts that threatened to wipe out entire civilizations. And in each of these moments, there were always individuals who defied the circumstances, who refused to let fear or death control them. The soldier's laugh is the voice of humanity's enduring spirit, one that has survived centuries of adversity and continues to push forward no matter how bleak the future might seem. The laugh is the voice of those who have lived through oppression and hardship, those who have endured, fought back, and survived against all odds. The laughter also speaks to the soldier's connection with those around him. It is a rallying cry, a declaration that as long as one human remains, the fight will continue. It is a reminder that death, though powerful, is not the final answer. The soldier's laughter gives strength to those who see it, inspiring them to keep fighting. In that moment, it is not just the soldier standing alone on the battlefield, but all of humanity, represented by his unbreakable will. His laugh becomes a collective force that reverberates across the battlefield, pushing back against the alien invaders and forcing them to confront a new reality. They cannot defeat humanity by conventional means. For the human soldier, laughing in the face of death becomes a way of reclaiming his own agency. It is a way of rejecting the notion that life and even death is something that happens to him. Instead, he asserts his control over the situation. Even though he is wounded and outnumbered, he refuses to accept the fate that others would impose upon him. This act of defiance against death is a powerful reminder that humans do not just survive, they live. And in that living, they make their mark, they challenge fate, and they fight against the inevitable with everything they have. The laughter, in its essence, is a refusal to accept that death is the final word. Instead, it is an affirmation of life, a challenge to all who would try to take that life away. It speaks to a truth at the core of humanity that as long as there is life, there is hope. And as long as there is hope, the fight is never truly over. The soldier's defiance in the face of death is not just an individual act of bravery, it is a reflection of the enduring human spirit, one that refuses to be defeated, no matter the circumstances. The human soldier's relentless willpower is perhaps one of the most striking aspects of his character. Despite being severely wounded and facing certain death, he refuses to succumb to the circumstances. His ability to keep fighting, even when his body betrays him, speaks to the core of human determination. This determination is not born from a belief that the fight is easy or that victory is certain, but rather from an intrinsic drive to persevere no matter what. His willpower doesn't just come from a desire to survive, but from a deeper understanding that surrendering is not an option, regardless of the odds. He embodies a refusal to allow anything, not even the threat of death, to dictate his actions or his fate. This relentless willpower is woven into the very fabric of human nature. For centuries, humans have faced challenges that seemed insurmountable. Whether it was the harshness of nature, the struggle for survival, or the fights against oppressive forces, humanity has always found a way to keep moving forward. The soldier's determination in the face of death represents this very essence of human resilience. No matter how difficult the road, humans have always found the strength to rise again. His willpower is a direct reflection of the countless individuals throughout history who faced unimaginable obstacles but kept going. It's the same will that drove explorers to set out across uncharted oceans, that drove revolutionaries to stand up against tyranny, and that continues to push humanity to innovate, explore, and endure. The soldier's decision to keep fighting, even as his body fails him, highlights how deeply this willpower is embedded within him. His every movement is a struggle against the natural limits of his body, yet he continues. It's clear that he understands the pain, understands that he might not survive, but he refuses to let the physical reality of his wounds stop him. There's something profoundly human in this ability to fight against not just external forces, but the very biology that governs the body. It's an act of defiance against his own limitations. The soldier's willpower is not blind optimism or denial of his condition, but rather an acceptance that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, there is something worth fighting for.
This determination extends beyond mere survival. For the soldier, the act of pushing forward is not about saving himself, but about something larger than his own life. He fights not just for his survival, but for the survival of his comrades, for the hope of humanity, for the belief that their spirit cannot be crushed, no matter the cost. In the heat of battle, as the soldier continues to move forward, it becomes evident that his willpower is not a solitary. It represents the collective strength of all who stand with him. His refusal to fall is a beacon to those around him, a reminder that no matter how tough the fight gets, there is always a reason to keep going. His willpower becomes contagious, inspiring others to continue the fight with the same unrelenting spirit. This sense of shared resilience is one of the most powerful aspects of the soldier's willpower. His actions have a ripple effect. As he continues to push through pain and injury, those around him take strength from his example. It is no longer just his personal struggle, it becomes a collective struggle, one that brings others into the fold. The soldier's strength is not just his own, it becomes part of a greater force that unites others in the battle. His willpower fuels the fire of others, allowing them to find their own determination to fight, even when they might have faltered. There's a power in the human spirit that comes from seeing someone else overcome great odds, and this soldier embodies that power. By continuing to fight despite all logic and reason telling him to stop, he becomes a living symbol of the strength of the human will. His relentless determination also reflects humanity's ability to adapt. The soldier is not simply relying on brute strength to overcome his obstacles, but is using every ounce of his mental and emotional resources to continue. His focus, his ability to keep going when others would crumble, is a product of his understanding that survival is not just about physical endurance, but mental fortitude. His mind refuses to accept the reality of death or failure, and that mental resilience becomes a key factor in his ability to keep moving, even when the world around him seems to be crumbling. This mental toughness is another hallmark of humanity's willpower, the ability to overcome not just physical challenges, but the internal doubts and fears that can paralyze a person. In the end, the soldier's willpower is not just about the struggle to stay alive. It is about the principle of never giving up. Even when faced with death, the soldier's refusal to stop fighting is a testament to the human spirit's unyielding nature. It is a reminder that no matter what happens, no matter how grim the circumstances, the human will to survive and fight can never be completely extinguished. This soldier, in his relentless pursuit of victory, demonstrates that human strength is not limited to physical might, but extends to the very core of what makes humanity indomitable. The human soldier's laughter, echoing through the battlefield, is not just an expression of his own personal defiance, but becomes a beacon of hope for all those who witness it. Hope is a powerful, almost intangible force that drives people to keep going when the odds are stacked against them. In the context of this soldier, his laughter in the face of certain death serves as a symbol of hope, not just for himself, but for humanity as a whole. Hope, in its purest form, is not the expectation of an easy victory or the belief that things will always go well. It is the belief that no matter how dark things may seem, there is always a chance for something better, something brighter. It is a force that keeps humanity moving forward, even when the path ahead seems insurmountable. The soldier's laughter, though seemingly absurd in the face of his grave injury, becomes a declaration that there is still a reason to keep fighting, a reason to believe that humanity can endure no matter the adversities they face. Human history is filled with moments of immense despair, where hope seemed to be nothing more than a fleeting thought, a fragile idea. Wars, natural disasters, political upheavals, these have all threatened to tear humanity apart. Yet, in the darkest moments, hope has always found a way to rise, to guide people through the worst of times. The soldier's laughter encapsulates this essence of hope, which has carried humanity through countless challenges. It is a force that cannot be easily extinguished because it is deeply ingrained in the human spirit. The moment the soldier laughs in the face of his mortality, he ignites that very hope within those who hear it. His defiance is not just about rejecting death, but about affirming life, about showing those around him that no matter the circumstances, as long as there is hope, the battle is never over. It is a reminder that humanity has the power to persist, to push through even when it seems like the end is near. This sense of hope is contagious. As the soldier laughs, his comrades, witnessing his unwavering spirit, find the strength to carry on. Hope is not something that can be given to others through words alone. It is something that must be demonstrated, something that must be shown through action. In that moment, the soldier becomes more than just an individual fighting for survival. He becomes a symbol of everything humanity stands for: resilience, courage, and an undying belief in the possibility of a better future. His laughter is an unspoken rallying cry, a call to arms that encourages others to rise above their fear and despair. It is no longer about just him. It is about the collective strength of those who fight beside him, who are inspired by his refusal to give up. In the face of insurmountable odds, hope becomes the very thing that drives them forward, that pushes them to keep fighting for the future they believe is still possible. The soldier's laughter also highlights humanity's ability to adapt and persevere, even when hope seems irrational. It would be easy for anyone in his position to give in, to accept that death is inevitable, but he chooses not to. His laughter in this sense is an act of reclaiming agency, of choosing hope when all seems lost. It is an assertion that no matter how bleak the situation, there is always something to fight for. This is a fundamental aspect of the human experience, the ability to find meaning even in the darkest of times. The soldier is not just fighting for his own survival, he is fighting for the hope that the human race will endure, that this moment of darkness will not be the end, but merely a chapter in a larger story. Hope becomes not just a feeling, but a force that can be wielded, a tool that can be used to motivate others and push the fight forward. In the larger context, the soldier's laughter also speaks to the power of collective hope. Hope is not something that exists in isolation. It thrives when shared, when passed from one person to another, and when a group of people believe in something greater than themselves. The soldier's actions, his laughter, his defiance in the face of death, are not just his own personal triumphs. They are a manifestation of the collective hope that binds humanity together. This hope transcends any individual, for it is rooted in the belief that as long as one person continues to fight, others will follow, and together they can overcome even the most powerful forces. Hope is the foundation of unity, the thing that keeps people working together, despite differences and hardships. The soldier's laughter is an act of unity, a shared moment that reminds everyone around him that the fight is worth it, that as long as hope exists, humanity will never give up. Through this, the soldier becomes the embodiment of hope itself. He is not just a single man in battle, he is a symbol of humanity's endless ability to rise, to fight, and to survive. His laughter, loud and defiant, resounds as a reminder that no matter the difficulty, no matter how impossible the challenge may seem, hope is always worth fighting for. It is what gives people the strength to continue, to rise up and face whatever challenges lie ahead. The soldier's laughter is the spark that keeps hope alive, not just in himself, but in everyone who witnesses it. It serves as a reminder that hope is a flame that cannot be extinguished, that as long as humanity refuses to give up, there is always a chance for a brighter future, no matter how unlikely it may seem. The soldier's unpredictability is one of the key traits that make him stand out as a symbol of humanity's strength and resilience. While many other creatures, particularly the alien forces he faces, might be bound by logic and strategy, the human soldier defies all expectations, acting in ways that his enemies cannot understand. This unpredictability, often seen as chaotic or irrational, is one of humanity's greatest strengths. Where the enemy might anticipate fear, hesitation, or even surrender, the soldier reacts with defiance, laughter, and an unyielding desire to continue fighting, even when faced with death. This refusal to conform to predictable behavior is a hallmark of humanity's resourcefulness and determination. The soldier's ability to resist the expected response, succumbing to the inevitable, demonstrates that humans cannot be so easily classified or understood. It is this very unpredictability that makes humans such a formidable opponent in any situation. For the alien forces, who likely have studied human behavior and prepared for every possible scenario, the soldier's defiance is completely unexpected. They may have calculated the most probable outcomes based on their understanding of other species, but humans do not follow these neat patterns. The soldier's ability to laugh, even as he is shot, is the type of behavior that is not only surprising, but impossible for them to predict or counteract. They expect him to be afraid, to panic, to retreat, or to die quietly in his wounds. Instead, the soldier chooses to fight, to laugh in the face of death, and to keep moving forward despite the injury. This unpredictability forces the alien invaders to reconsider their approach, to question everything they thought they knew about humanity. It disrupts their strategies and makes them aware of the wild card that humans represent. They cannot simply anticipate the soldier's next move. Every action is a break from the expected, a step into the unknown. Unpredictability is not just about being erratic or irrational. It's about the ability to think beyond the limits of one's circumstances. The soldier does not simply accept what is happening to him. He refuses to be defined by the moment. His laughter is not born from madness, but from a deliberate choice to reject the predetermined outcome. The soldier's unpredictability is a form of rebellion against the idea that everything can be controlled, predicted, or manipulated. In his response to the situation, he asserts that even in the face of death, there is always room for a new approach. He does not follow the path laid out for him by his enemies. Instead, he charts his own course, fueled by a deep internal drive that refuses to be extinguished by outside forces. His actions are spontaneous, unpredictable, and, in many ways, unfathomable to anyone observing. This unpredictability also extends to the psychological aspect of the soldier's mindset. The enemy expects that fear and injury will break his spirit, but the soldier's ability to laugh in the face of such adversity is a clear sign that they have underestimated him. It is not simply his physical strength that makes him a formidable force. It is his mental toughness and refusal to be manipulated by fear. Where others might have fallen into despair or become incapacitated by panic, the soldier stays focused, his laughter a defiant statement that he will not allow fear to control him. This unpredictability is not just about breaking physical barriers, but about maintaining control of his mind in situations where others would falter. His laughter becomes a weapon in itself, disorienting and unsettling to his enemies who cannot understand how he can remain composed in the face of such overwhelming odds. The soldier's unpredictability also plays a vital role in his ability to inspire others. As he continues to defy expectations, his behavior becomes a challenge to those around him, urging them to break free from the conventional patterns of thought and action that limit them. His actions serve as a reminder that even when things seem hopeless, there are always options, always ways to fight back. The soldier's laughter is not just an individual act of defiance, but a call to others to think differently, to act unpredictably, and to find new ways of fighting. It is a challenge to conformity and a message that in the face of overwhelming odds, the only thing certain is uncertainty. In a world where everything seems to be against them, the soldiers around him find a new kind of hope in the unpredictability of his behavior. His example shows them that just like him, they do not have to conform to the expected responses. They can break the mold, surprise their enemies, and find strength in unpredictability. The soldier's unpredictability ultimately symbolizes the wild, untamable spirit of humanity. Where other species may be easy to understand and predict, humans remain a mystery. They defy logic and expectations, charting their own course through the chaos of existence. The soldier's defiance, his laughter, and his continued pursuit of victory, even when faced with the impossible, showcase the human ability to adapt, surprise, and overcome. It is this unpredictability that makes humanity so dangerous to those who seek to conquer or subjugate them. The soldier's actions are a testament to the fact that, no matter how much preparation or calculation an enemy may invest, they can never fully account for the unpredictable nature of humanity. This unpredictability, this wild spirit, is what has allowed humans to survive, to adapt, and to overcome time and time again. The soldier's ability to endure pain even after being shot is an incredible testament to the depth of human strength. Most species, when wounded, would either fall to the ground, immobilized by the shock or pain, or they would show signs of distress, retreating into a state of shock or fear. But this human soldier, even when faced with the overwhelming weight of injury and death, refuses to be broken. His capacity to withstand such pain is not just a reflection of his physical toughness, it is an illustration of the resilience that runs deep within humanity. This trait of endurance goes far beyond merely surviving. It is the innate human ability to endure suffering, to push through pain, and to continue on even when all signs point to the fact that survival is no longer a realistic option. For the soldier, pain becomes a force that he does not allow to dominate. He transforms it from something that could incapacitate him into something he can use to fuel his defiance. Instead of submitting to his wound, he embraces it as a part of the challenge, demonstrating that he will not allow it to dictate his actions or his fate. Pain for the soldier does not cause him to surrender. Instead, it pushes him further into his defiance. The concept of surrender is foreign to him because he knows that survival is not just about the absence of pain, but about the persistence of will. This willpower becomes stronger the more he is pushed to his limits. He feels the sharp sting of his injuries, but it does not break his spirit. His mind and body become synchronized in a singular purpose: to continue. It is an act of rebellion against the natural limits of his own body, the universal rule that pain forces the body to stop. But the soldier's body does not dictate his course, his mind does. His resilience is rooted in his ability to remain aware and active even as the physical reality of his injuries presses in on him. He draws strength from within, using his mental fortitude as a way to counteract the weakness in his body. This is where the true power of human endurance lies, not in simply enduring pain, but in using it to become stronger, more determined, and more committed to the fight. This ability to endure pain is not just about physical survival. It speaks to a deeper psychological and emotional resilience that humans possess. In moments of extreme suffering, humans are able to compartmentalize their pain, to separate the feeling of pain from their ability to think, act, and fight. While other creatures might be consumed by their injuries, the soldier is able to focus on his objective. He does not allow his suffering to cloud his vision of what must be done. He is fully aware of his pain, but it does not define him. This awareness of pain, coupled with the refusal to be dominated by it, becomes a source of strength. The soldier's endurance is not about ignoring his injuries, it is about accepting them and continuing in spite of them. This duality, acknowledging the pain but refusing to be controlled by it, is what allows the soldier to continue his mission. In a broader sense, the soldier's endurance represents humanity's collective ability to endure hardship, to persist even when all hope seems lost. Human history is full of stories of suffering, yet humanity has always found a way to endure. Whether it was through the trials of war, famine, or political oppression, human beings have endured and found ways to survive in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The soldier embodies that endurance, representing every person who has fought against adversity, every individual who has faced impossible odds and refused to be beaten. His ability to endure pain is not just his own, it is a reflection of the greater human experience. Every person who has ever faced hardship can find a piece of themselves in the soldier. His pain is a shared experience, and his endurance becomes a universal symbol of the resilience that exists in everyone. The soldier's endurance also underscores the concept of sacrifice. He knows that every moment of pain brings him closer to his own limits, but still he pushes forward. It is not about self-preservation, but about something greater, whether that is his comrades, the survival of humanity, or a cause that he believes is worth the suffering. Endurance in this sense becomes an act of selflessness. It is a willingness to give everything for a greater good, to endure suffering not for personal gain but for the survival of others. This sacrifice is what makes human endurance so remarkable. It is not driven by a desire to escape pain, but by the desire to see something through to the end, no matter the cost. The soldier endures not for himself, but for the hope that his actions will inspire others, that his sacrifice will serve a purpose beyond just his own survival. Finally, the soldier's ability to endure pain also highlights the incredible potential for growth that exists in the human experience. In enduring pain, humans often find strength they never thought possible. The soldier's ability to keep going, to keep fighting even after being shot, reveals that humans are capable of far more than they may initially realize. Pain does not just break, it can build. It can refine and shape character, making individuals more resilient, more capable, and more determined to succeed. The soldier's endurance is a testament to the idea that through suffering, growth occurs. He becomes a stronger version of himself, one that can face greater challenges and emerge victorious. This ability to transform pain into power is at the heart of humanity's ability to survive and thrive, even when the odds seem impossible. And